Hello and welcome to another Xterra video where I work on my truck. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. And on today's video I'm gonna try to upgrade or try to redesign my air fill-up system. As much as I like my setup, the air compressor is all good. The hoses, the system that I have over here, first of all it takes too much space, I feel like. Then also to set it up, I mean, it's not big of a deal. You have to pull out all the hoses, you gotta run the hoses on each side. I feel sometimes it can be a little bit too much to deal with. So I want to try to do something different, something more compact, something more mobile, something more easy to use. Now I'm not gonna lie, this design was somewhat inspired by this one company that I saw online. Forgot the name of it, but I'm gonna leave the name somewhere here in a corner. And they have a very small, very compact air spool that you put it somewhere, and it's a 1/4-inch hose. The only thing is you have to unwind it and wind it by hand, which might be not big of a deal, but for somebody, if they want to have it somewhere else, if they wanted to have it somewhere secured out of the way, you have to make sure that you have access for your hand in there, right? So anyway, and on top of that, the price is a little bit pricey. It's over $200. So for the past few months I spent some time looking around, trying to think what can I do, how I can do it, and what can I do for about the same price, for something cheaper, if I could build something like that or find some alternative option. Sure enough, after looking around at multiple different hoses online, most of them are very big systems, I was able to find, this is the smallest one I able to find so far. This is a very compact system, and it's and as you can see, it's retractable, so it pulls back on its own. So this can be somewhere hidden out of the way, and it's not gonna get in the way. The only thing I kind of don't like is the color. It's such a toxic green, vivid color, but I'm thinking I can paint this probably. But like I said, this is the smallest one I found. It's barely 8 inches by 9 inches because of this base over here. So I'm thinking I'm gonna mount it somewhere. I don't know where yet. Maybe it's gonna be something like this, mounted like that, and a hose is connected over here. So whenever I need to use it, I can go and coil the hose, and it's 20 feet from here. It's gonna be more than enough to reach to any of the tires, so that's pretty good. Now another thing, this time I was especially looking for the hose to be a smaller side. This is only a 1/4-inch diameter hose, unlike the one I have a 3/8. So my idea is, by having a smaller diameter hose, it's gonna take less time to fill up and build the pressure inside the hose, and it's just gonna go straight to the tire. So in theory, this actually should even pump up air faster, so I don't have to deal with all the hoses and everything. This is gonna go straight to the tire with a chuck over here. I'm just gonna have to install one, and of course I have to figure out how I'm gonna connect the air compressor over here, how I'm gonna mount this, and how this all gonna work out. But on top of that, I'm also changing my air compressor. I picked up another one, dual cylinder air compressor. But the major difference over here, which is I think is a very cool option, this one has a built-in preset PSI settings, so I can set it up to 35 PSI or 40 PSI or whatever the PSI you need. I can preset it, so next time I just run it and it's gonna pump up the air, and it's gonna stop whenever it reaches a certain pressure in the tires. So I don't have to constantly check it with the gauge, am I there yet or what, constantly turning off the valve and stuff like that. So I think this is pretty cool. So my idea to swap it, to install it over there, and then work on the air spool to see how I'm gonna mount it, and if even this is gonna work or not. So that's an idea for today. So let me start working on this, moving stuff around, and you guys gonna see as I go. I'm gonna try to show you as much as possible. All right, so the old compressor is out, and I partially disassembled this one already. So now I'm gonna cut the power cable. Just gonna keep in mind which one is the positive, which one is the negative, so I can redo the plug over here, and then I'm gonna mount it back. So this time I no longer need this because it's not gonna go in here. It's probably gonna go directly into that spool, or maybe I leave this as well, we'll see. Okay, the new compressor is installed and wired up. I actually swapped the plug. Some time ago I picked up the red one because I had the blue one, so I don't know, I kind of like the red stuff on my truck. Anyways, so all of that is wired up, that is done. So now my plan is to install these two things over here, the 90 and this quick connect disconnect, because the air hose from the compressor is gonna get plugged in here. And what I'm thinking, I'm probably gonna install it something like that, somehow, something like that, maybe not, we'll see. But I think this should be fine somewhere over here. So now just gonna secure all of this in place over here, and we'll see how I'm gonna install this. So now I'm working on trying to create a bracket. So my plan is to mount it over here. So this is gonna be the bracket for it. I'm gonna have two holes going through here, and it's gonna be bolted here. At the same time, I'm gonna make two holes over here, drill the holes here, and bolt it over here as well. This part over here, I'm actually gonna cut it so it's not gonna be sticking out like that. And yeah, I think this should be a good location for it. So this hose, I'm actually gonna have to extend it slightly to connect it over here. But other than that, I think it's coming out right. And that way, I also gonna have access over here to plug in this, and the hose is long enough anyways, so I think that's gonna be good.
Much later.
So constantly whenever I work, something changes, I get some different ideas. So originally I was gonna go with this air hose reel. I already made even the bracket for it to mount over here, but there is a couple of things I don't like about it. First, that the hose is only 20 feet long, so it just enough reaches to the tire, and I don't know. So I also actually ordered this one. Now the only thing I don't like about this air reel, even though it says mini, but by no means this is a mini, this is a still big, this is a pretty big air hose. So that's the only thing I don't like about it, the size of it. But I like the fact that the hose is longer, it's 26 feet, and it's actually red. That's pretty cool. Now compared to this one is of course much smaller, thinner, much lower profile. The good thing about this one, this already has a hose I can connect to my air compressor. But what I don't like about it, it's just its size. It's too big. It's way too big. I can no longer mount it over here. Unlike this one, I can squeeze it in here, and that one's gonna be pretty compact in there. Now, of course, I can relocate this one to mount maybe in there. That's a dead space anyways. So if I mount this one somewhere here like that, that could actually potentially work. And then I just extend the hose from here and run it to here. I feel like this one might be, the build quality is slightly better than this one. So, but that's just all my assumptions. So I'm gonna work on this now. Try two of these options and see which one I'll go with. Okay guys, so I removed the bracket that was connected to it, and actually I'm thinking to install it over there, all the way in the back of the shelf, because that space over there, it's a dead space in the truck anyways. I never put anything there, there's no way to put anything there. So, but if I mount that reel in there, I think that'd be pretty good. And like I said, this reel looks more durable than the green one, even though this is way more compact. So I don't know, I mean, it fits pretty good over here, but the hose is kind of small, and I don't know, so many decisions to consider. So now I'm gonna try to figure out how I'm gonna mount it over there, get my hose from the reel to the air compressor, and then I'm gonna see if it's even gonna work. So my next great idea is to use this aluminum flat piece, measure the distance between these two legs, cut it, make the holes here, make the holes in the legs. This is actually going to be mounted from the other side. Then I have to mark how high, how far, and where it has to be. This part comes off. Actually, there is nothing here major. So this is going to be bolted to the flat piece first. Then I can slide the compressor in and then bolt the compressor back with these screws, and that's gonna be in there. That's my idea so far. So let's see if I can make this happen or not. Okay, so on the cover I marked So this is where I gotta make the holes, so it's not any of these two or this one for that matter. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna make the holes, so that can be bolted to this plate. Well, I also mark the holes here and there where I need to drill, so this can be bolted on, and then I can start assembling all of this together. Okay, so this part is done, this is assembled, and I put the bolts facing this way with the nuts on the inside. It's not gonna interfere with anything inside there, so that's pretty good. So now I can try to bolt it in, put the air reel on it as well, make sure that it all fits nice and snug, and then I'm gonna see what else I'm gonna do. Okay, so far so good, it's mounted, but as I expected, I knew it's gonna happen. There is a little bit of a play because of this aluminum is a little bit too flexy, so, but it's okay. We have this plastic tab over here with a hole through, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a bracket between here and here, so that's gonna keep it in place and that's gonna prevent it from wiggling like that. But so far so good, I think it's coming out alright. So let me work on that bracket, see how I'm gonna mount it there, and yeah. So now from the same piece of aluminum that I had, I just bend it. That's gonna go in there. I hope you guys can see that.
The next day.
Alright, and the parts are dry, so now I can start assembling all of this in there. And then I still gotta extend the hose to bring it to the air compressor. So now I'm gonna work extending that hose. Just gonna have to add another piece in between this one. And I have plenty of these hoses left. Just gonna measure how much I need, put the ends with a quick connect disconnect, zip tie it in the back, and that should be it. So now I'm gonna do my interconnection over here between these two hoses. I had to make a quick run to Home Depot and pick up this 1/4-inch coupling, so it gets screwed on both sides. So now I'm gonna put a Teflon tape around here, screw it, push this inside, put a couple of clamps, and this is done. Just gonna zip tie all the hose around nicely, and that's it. And that's it, guys. The air hose is interconnected, secured, and yeah, it's ready to be tested. Nothing else to do, just to test it. Alright, so I deflated the tire to pretty much 8.5 psi, so the tire is pretty low. Let's get our hose out. So far so good, it works. Connected over here. Let's connect our air compressor to the power. Let's set it up to 35 psi. Let's press start. Let's see. Right, and it just stopped at 35 psi as I was switching the camera. So let's check the psi in the tire, and it's telling me 33, so might be not always accurate. So let's make sure it's at 35. All right, and press start. 34. A little bit more. There you go. That's it. Alright, telling me it's 35 psi, so let's check that out. And it's a 34.5, which is pretty good, close enough. So that's worked out pretty good. After the tire is filled up, the compressor is off. I just release the pressure from over here. I can simply roll up the hose back in place. All of it goes in, and that's it. I might have to replace this air chuck for something better, but it's no big deal. And I also gotta replace the relay for this one, because the one I have is rated only for 50 amps. It's for my first original air compressor, but this time I am gonna put 100 amps.
Much later.
Alright guys, and the air system was actually done for quite some time already, but I just picked up this air filter. Well, it's not an air filter, it's a moisture filter from the air. I saw one of my friends have it on his setup, so I figured I might as well copy him and add this in line as well. What this is gonna do is gonna prevent any water and moisture going inside the tires, and I think that's pretty good. So now I'm gonna look where I'm gonna mount this, because this it has a drain on the bottom for the water to drain. So gonna look around where I'm gonna mount it. I mean, probably the ideal thing is to have it all the way at the end so I can drain it by the tire or somewhere, not inside. But maybe if I put it inside and if it, once in a while just get a rug or towel and drain it on a towel, maybe it's not a big deal. And the unit is not big anyway, so I might be able to put it over here. And whenever I need to air up the tires, I just have it over here and then I drain it here as well. So that might be an option. So I'm gonna try that actually first, see how it feels, how it looks. This is a special plastic, so this is not glass, it's not gonna break. So let me play with that and we'll see.
2,000 years later.
Alright guys, what a long video it was, but well, the video maybe not that long, but the project took place quite some time ago. We are in a winter, so I had that set up already for many months and used it many times. I used it in East Coast Xterra challenge and all the time that I went off-roading, and it actually works pretty good. Now, in a video when I had the air pressure too low, I did not set it right. You just gotta make sure you set it up at 35 or whatever PSI you want, and then you press start and it's gonna pump up and it's gonna intermediately it's gonna stop to check what air pressure, but I use it multiple times, it works fine. So there is no issue with that. The air compressor works, the hose works, it's very convenient, it's quite fast I think. To pull them all out and air up. So even though I'm doing one tire at a time, but I feel it's kind of quicker compared to the four-way system that I had, because like I said before, it's only one hose, it's a 1/4 inch, so the air goes all directly into the tire. It less resistance to fill up the 3/8 size hose versus the 1/4 inch hose. But I might be wrong as always, so you guys let me know what kind of system you guys using. Overall, everything is working great, but I would like to know what kind of air system you guys using, what kind of air compressor you using, how long it takes you guys to fill up the tire, or if you don't even care how long it takes, as long as it does fill up the tires. So on this note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you might find it helpful, and as always, until next time, everybody, bye.